Hello and welcome to Culturama. How are you guys doing today? On this show, what we try to do is reclaim the spirit of traditional Americana back into the United States. The one that we lost so long ago with the induction of postmodernism, wokeism, critical theory, critical race theory, critical gender theory. The one that has imbued schools and has really prevented people from really thinking for themselves, which I will be talking about today. Because news have come out that Trump wants to dismantle U.S. colleges. I want to talk about that with you today as well as many other things. Also big news, Nick Fuentes pepper sprayed a woman the other day. I know that's about up there with the Donald Trump news. Donald Trump has been making a lot of announcements lately as well as it pertains to his administration. So I will be talking about that with you also. But before I do that, I urge each and every one of you that is watching to please support the show on Locals. You can support it through the forlibertynetwork.com. On Locals, there you can make a consecutive donation or a one-time donation, and that will go a long way in supporting the show, and it will go in a long way in supporting the alternative economic networks and institutions that we are trying to establish by promoting shows like this, podcasts as well. So we would very much appreciate your help in this endeavor. But that being said, I do want to say hello to all of those that are watching in the chat already. Thank you for joining. And also, another way to support the show is to just donate a Rumble rant. A single Rumble rant will go a whole long way in supporting the show. And also, I would be obligated to read your message. So that would be very beneficial as well for you and for me. And a last way that you can support the show is to purchase something on the website store. Under the Culturama collection, you can find at theforlibertyshop.com, you can find sweatshirts, mugs, all kinds of things that pertain to the show, really fun things. We had a jewelry box that just came out, a face cream as well with the Culturama logo. So that will go a long way in supporting us as well. And you also get something tangible through your support. So that being said, I have a lot of news to cover with you, and I just want to ask you this one question. What do you think is contributing to the leftism and the wokeism that is ruining our country? Well, it hasn't ruined our country as of yet since the election. It seems like people are waking up to it, but I do want to ask you what led us to that point. What exactly is it? Some people argue that it's the dissolution of the family or the traditional family unit. Others on the other side will say that it contributes to the upending of natural environment, perhaps the upending of certain institutions. But I think, and I think many of you would agree with me, that I think it all starts in education. And I think what Trump is doing with his administration going forward after January, I think is going to go a long way, because he is talking about essentially dismantling college institutions. And that's really the peak of this episode. I really want to talk about that in particular, because I think it's very important to have that conversation and to have the conversation about where the United States culture is going. Where is it going traditionally as well? Of course, the show's name is Culturama. I like to talk about culture and social issues, but I also like to talk about major institutions and the dissolution of those institutions. And so I want you to think about how pervasive has college education specifically contributed to the declining of our culture. But before I get to that big brain topics like that, what I do also want to talk about with you today is the leftists' absolute meltdown of the Trump win from last week. I know a lot of us are still happy and reeling from the win, okay, myself included. We're all very happy, but the other side isn't doing too well. And last I talked about on this show last week, people on the left are not taking it just not well, but they are severely mentally unwell. And I want to go over some things that I found online that shows this and showcases the left's absolute meltdown over what has happened after the election. And I'm going to be playing a few videos and have a little bit fun with that with you as we proceed. But before we do that, I encourage you and really urge you to send a Rumble rant, and I'll be sure to read your messages. But I do want to say hello for those that have joined us. I see Barney Styles has joined us today. Thank you, Barney Styles, for joining this afternoon. Well, actually, it's evening. That it's really good to see you. We also have Entropy Nomad. Thank you, Entropy Nomad, for joining us. He said woman on woman crime. I presume, Entropy, you're talking about Nick Fuentes pepper spraying a woman. You know, that's not the most difficult riddle to to break there. Bucks Nasty said good evening Bucks. L Dubs said hi folks, and it looks like we did just get a donation come in. Entropy Nomad, thank you so much, Entropy Nomad, for donating to the chat and to the show. He said, are we living in a great filter, a populace that fails to support enough specialists due to cultural decay? No getting to Mars if we are all furries. Exactly. You know, that's a really good point. What I've noticed, and this is my own personal theory, but it's also one that I think a lot of people can get behind, is that what we are seeing, particularly with Western culture, Western cultures actually collectively, but specifically within the United States, is that we are so focused on personal development and individuated identity, which I think is all important things to develop as you grow, to understand who you are as a person and where you stand in the world and how to navigate the world. However, with excessive fixation on personal and individual and ego development, I can't pronounce my words very well tonight. My apologies. English is my second language. What can I say? But anyway, to get to your point, Entropy Nomad, we focus and fixate so much on self-individuation in that we tend to forget things that also make society and the building of society important, like perhaps building a family, trying to build a culture, even just showing up to work, goes a long way. And the focus on the self-finding process, I suppose you could say, is something that has been instilled in colleges particularly. And you find this all the time within the more artistic communities or within, I would say, disciplines of the humanities, is that people focus on themselves a lot. And through that process, they tend to be out of touch with other things. For instance, lack of specialization in certain fields. Like you have mentioned, it seems like you kind of hint at STEM there. So through that, we lack the capacity as people and as a population of a specific country to really get into these fields and to specialize in them, where other countries are just severely outpacing us. We just have to, you can just look at China and see how that's occurring right now. I mean, they're outpacing us in a lot of fields, and particularly just in education in general, they're outscoring us. But this isn't just unique to China. This is happening in all kinds of countries where the United States is just completely failing and deteriorating as a cause of that. So, I know I kind of went off a little bit, I think for like 2 minutes on that point, but I did want to get on what you were saying, because I think what you're touching on is very important. And I don't like to invoke the Maslow's hierarchy of needs pyramid all that much. I know it's kind of a meme, but if you want to get what I'm understanding, what I'm getting at here, that's kind of like the heuristic I use, is that people focus too much on the top of the pyramid rather than down below the other needs that fulfill a person's individuation process. But if I have more time, I can pull up that chart for you so you can look at it. Not a lot of people are going to know what I mean probably, but at any rate, I'll be right back. I'm going to pull up the first few stories. We're going to be looking at how leftists completely melt down over the win of Trump within this country. So I'm going to pull up your guys' favorite ad, and I will be right back.
Well, here comes Danny Yellow like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have "Glad You Came Out" and "I'm so happy that you're queer" in the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop.
Hey, all right. We are back to Culturama. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. I did want to say hello to all the people that are in the chat today and watching this show on this very cozy Tuesday night. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I did see a good friend in the chat I do want to shout out. His name is Monolithic Ethos. He has a YouTube channel. I just saw him asking me in the chat there. I got to give him a shout out. You know, we have a history here in the political scene. We were friends, and he asked me if I was going to AmFest this year. And you know what, Monolith, if I really want to, we're going to have to see how it works with the schedule and the affordability, you know, how travel is these days. But I will say this, if we do get enough donations in this next month or this following month, I may just be able to attend America Fest this year. I know it's around Christmas time, so hopefully. But anyway, to proceed along with the show here, I did say that we'll be looking at some choice clips of leftists kind of losing it and kind of looking at the news surrounding that. So give me a moment. I'm gonna fast forward here. There we go. Okay, so first things first, I did want to draw attention to this tweet right here, made by an interesting account called Athenian Stranger. He's on turkey mode right now, as you can tell by his name. But anyway, he brings great attention on something that we are seeing the left wing do, okay? And they are trying to misconstrue the narrative completely here. He says that these people are wholly incapable of self-reflection. It's enjoyable watching them go all in on the same stupidity that cost them the most significant presidential election of their lifetime, which I agree. This election did seem rather unprecedented, especially with the replacement of Biden. But these failures are the only things for which they will be remembered. And it's great. Not so great for them. But anyway, the reason why he tweeted this is because of this article in the New Yorker. What does it mean that Donald Trump is a fascist? Trump takes the tools of dictators and adapts them for the internet. We should expect him to try to cling to power until death and create a cult of January 6 martyrs. So yeah, clearly these people are completely out of their minds, and they're covering their failures with something like this. And to be fair, I haven't seen too many leftists come out with the rhetoric that the entire election was stolen. I have seen have seen a good handful, but I've also seen a lot of leftists, even progressives in the movement, come out and say the opposite of that. They'll say that, no, guys, do not promote this view. We don't want to be like them, right? And regardless of what you think about election integrity and the failures of election systems in each and every state, there is questions to be had about how truthful they are, how transparent they are, and if they properly function and work. But, there's a lot of debate and discussion to be had there, especially as it goes state by state. I will not deny that. But as it seems is that leftists are terrified to promote that narrative, considering what has happened in the past, especially following January 6th. But there's a lot that are also trying to promote the idea and the narrative that it is a complete burning or a complete eradication of democracy, but not in so much as the entire systems have been broken down by shady, shady figureheads within a certain cabal or a unit or a network of control. Rather, they're placing it on the shoulders of one single individual, and that man's a fascist. And he not only wants to remain the only ruler, but he wants to create this sort of, monarchy surrounding his own ultimate rule as a dictator. And so they're calling Trump, they're basically equating him to Hitler, and nothing that we haven't seen before. But I do want to reiterate that this is something that the right wing is quite used to. And not only that, a lot of people and a lot of Americans have seen through that facade. Okay, the problem is that leftists and progressives and even people in the mainstream political culture even have been promoting this way too soon, way too fast. They've used the H word or the Hitler word a little bit too soon. So really, it's like, if they're trying to push the ante here, they can't. They've already said the worst thing possible. They practically called this man Satan ever since his run for 2016. So as far as the legitimacy of their claims goes, this really means little to nothing. And if anything, it makes them look like fools. And that's why I wanted to bring attention to this, because as you can see here, as this Twitter account brings attention to, is that this just looks downright stupid. And this is the reason that they lost the election. Okay? I understand that Kamala is a fool. And not only that, but the entire way that they replaced Biden with her was questionable. And it made a lot of people question the integrity of this presidential race. So there's a lot of issues with them and that system in particular. But also just their rhetoric as they throw it against Trump. You see, that was foolish, and that made them look like the fools. Anyway, I'm getting a little too ahead of myself here. I know you guys, I know monologues are, this isn't a college classroom. So I'm going to continue. I know you guys like videos, so I'm going to get to the videos here soon. But I also wanted to show you guys this picture. This is a picture of Destiny. Now, for those of you that don't know who Destiny is, he is a political streamer. He's left-wing, and he loathes Donald Trump. Someone brought the attention to viewers here that he was actually drinking a bottle of Soylent, and to calm himself down after finding out the results of the election, and also during his election analysis, he was drinking a bottle of Soylent. Soys can't get very far without drinking Soylent and getting. It's kind of like people in positions of power and adrenochrome. They can't get very far without it. Therefore, liberals and Democrats, progressives can't get very far throughout the day without drinking their Soylent. I don't know what the equivalent of that would be for right-wing people, but I'm sure you guys can throw a few suggestions in the chat what that would be for right-wingers. Anyway, here's a video of AOC, and she's completely freaking out following the election analysis. Let's take a listen to what she says. This is an Instagram reel, I believe, or a story, where it's probably a story actually. But anyway. She's asking for the names and accounts of podcasts that Trump voters listen to. She's, trying to do some quality control here. Let's take a listen to what she's saying.
Which podcasts are you listening to? Which accounts are you subscribing to? I'm interested, like genuinely. Let me know which ones specifically, which accounts, which podcasts, etc. Which podcast?
I've seen a few people white pill and say that, she actually probably wants to consider the other side and listen to their content and maybe try to understand the psychology of the Trump voter. I'm a little skeptical about that. I don't think that's exactly what's going on here. I think she's trying to take a little bit, she's trying to take some intel. But I don't trust people like her. I don't trust anyone on that side. At this rate, they have done everything in their power to basically delegitimize the right wing completely. Again, they're calling Trump a fascist ever since day one. They basically called him Satan at this point. I don't know what's worse than that. So I'm not gonna, white pill or have hope in anything anymore, especially as it pertains to leftists. So that being said, as depressing as the political state of our country is, as far as it pertains to one side of the political aisle, granted, we did win the election and it's going very well. But, I do have my doubts about the other side. I am a little bit, and you guys can tell me your opinions on this, actually. Maybe I'm just being a doomer about it, but I have a feeling that the left wing is going to come back strong. And, in local elections and in following elections after this one that we just had. And what I'm thinking is that it might be a little bit of a push and pull, as it always is, but it's going to be a little bit of a push and pull. And I think that people that think, especially right-wingers that think, oh, we won, everything's perfect, everything's going to be fine in the country. Trump won, we got him in office, we got our people in office, it's a done deal. People who say that, I think, are frankly fooling themselves. It's never a done deal. That's not the nature of politics. There's always a push and pull in politics. There's a push and pull in social life and the development of social life and culture, and as well as it, pertains to the development of the zeitgeist. And I talk about the zeitgeist on this show. And if no one, or if anyone on this show doesn't know that's watching what the zeitgeist is, if you donate some money here today, maybe I'll be able to explain it to you. But that being said, it's not going to be a perfect situation here. And, I don't think as right-wingers and as conservatives and even as Republicans or libertarians, but especially Republicans out there, it's not time to get complacent or to just give up your resiliency or give up the fight, essentially. And a lot of people may listen to this and think, well, they're not giving up the fight at all, they're just happy, they're celebrating their wins. And of course, I celebrated last week with you. I'm not saying don't celebrate your wins, I'm just saying be aware, because these people will come back out and they will try to attack you. But I'm not going to doom her too hard, because we do have a development that has just come out. Trump and Vance. A statement has come out from Donald Trump and the vice president. It says here that I am pleased to announce that the great Elon Musk, I like the way that he's addressed here, the great is capitalized for those that can't see. The great Elon Musk, working in conjunction with American patriot Vivek Ramaswamy, these titles. This is the first time I'm reading this, by the way. This just got DM'd to me, so bear with me. Will lead the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. Together with those two wonderful Americans, will pave the way for my administration to dismantle government bureaucracy, slash excess regulations, cut wasteful expenditures, and restructure federal agencies. Essential to the Save America movement. This will send shockwaves through the system and anyone involved in government waste, which is a lot of people, stated Mr. Musk. It will become potentially the Manhattan Project of our time. Republican politicians have dreamed about the objectives of DOGE for a very long time. To drive this kind of drastic change, the Department of Government Efficiency will provide advice and guidance from outside the government and will partner with White House and Office of Management and Budget to drive large-scale structural reform and create an entrepreneurial, I can never pronounce that word, approach to government never seen before. Last paragraph. I look forward to Elon and Vivek making changes to the federal bureaucracy with an eye on efficiency and at the same time making life better for all Americans. Importantly, we will drive out the massive waste and fraud which exists throughout our annual $6.5 trillion of government spending. They will work together to liberate our economy and make the U.S. government accountable to we the people. Anyway, so first comment here, Harry Sisson. Yeah, we're screwed. Listen. Oh, look at this picture. Listen, whatever you may think about this, people... I don't want to swear on this show. People will down talk. People will down talk and will talk negatively about meme culture, about internet culture, about alternative systems of power, but alternative networks, like I mentioned here already, people downplay that all the time, but it really does make a big impact. It makes a big, huge impact actually in shaping culture, and we haven't seen that we haven't seen that to the degree that we have within just the last couple years when Elon Musk purchased Twitter. But clearly, even prior to that, even during Trump's initial run, meme culture, internet culture, it won him the presidency. I truly believe, at least not entirely, but a good portion of it. It definitely contributed to it. So people that downplay meme culture, or even like podcasts, I don't think really understand what's happening. They play a big part in shaping culture and the zeitgeist here in the United States. But when Trump came out and spoke after he won the election that same night, he mentioned podcasters, he mentioned Joe Rogan, and someone else, I think but he mentioned Peter Thiel, I believe, as well. But he mentioned a few names that I've seen people laugh at and say, like, oh my God, he mentioned Elon Musk, I think, as well. And people said, like, especially with Joe Rogan, how can he mention these names? It's not a serious administration. Well, are we really going to sit there and believe that those podcasts and those cultural figures aren't heavily contributing to the political landscape of the United States today? I don't know. It seems like you're fooling yourself if you don't think that. Anyway, I'm talking and getting a little bit too ahead of myself. I know it's not a college... class here, so I will try to watch it. But, guys... Let's donate some of those Rumble chats. I'd love to read your messages here. And also, if you want to text the show as well at any point, no promises I will read the text, but it is a good way to get my attention if I happen to be busy or going on a monologue like I just did. The number is 573. Oh, here we go. Let me get it out here. Hold on. I'm not good with memorizing numbers. I was terrible with numbers. I'm more of a word cell. 573-416-0635 is the number. Again, that is 573-416-0635. If you want to get my attention on the show, you can text that. But one way that you will undoubtedly get me to read your message is by sending a Rumble rant to the show. Not only will you get your message read, or your questions answered, but it also goes a long way in supporting the show. So I would greatly appreciate that. But next, before I come on here, I'm going to go on a quick break because I'm going to pull up our next big story today. And that is Nick Fuentes pepper sprays a woman. Woman on woman violence is never the right answer. I will be right back. Stay tuned and I'll pull that story up.
City lights so bright, ideals flash in the night. Opponents stand side by side, cultures collide, nowhere to hide. Fists meet dreams in the street, history on repeat. Our world's in a spin, let the future begin.
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty's throng. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep, as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway, in the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. With a flagpole planted firm, golden dreams that won't decay, marching proudly through the day. In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now. The Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive in the light of freedom's sky. We got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now. The Reds are going down.
In the diner, sipping soda pop, jukebox tunes that never stop. I see faces from different scenes, lost the cultures on a different stream. We walk down the same old street, but our stories never meet. Different worlds side by side in this twisting 50s ride.
Okay, welcome back to Culturama. Before I break our big story about Nick Fuentes, Pepper Spring, a visitor, I did have a rumble rant and a couple texts to read, so everyone bear with me and I will get to that here in a second. But I did get a text here while I was on break. Let me make sure I open this correctly. Okay, from Monolithic Ethos. He wrote, I pooped today. Great job, Monolith. Congrats. And I also have this other text. It came in last week and I forgot to read it, or I didn't see it. So let me read it here. Stupid question. If Trump is against Project 2025, who is Trump using to hire people? I heard from Josh Hammer that there needs to be change in leadership since they canceled an event due to Josh repeating the beeper line to Hamas protesters. That's a very good question, and I don't think that Trump is necessarily opposed to hiring people that were interested or had applied to Project 2025. I know a lot of my mutuals have applied to Project 2025 as well. So it's not necessarily of who he hires, who he fires. It's more of an issue of, I believe, actually backing the project, especially as it pertained to his presidential run. I mean, I believe that had come first for him. And as far as his reputation goes, he probably didn't want to put it on the line, especially as he was running. I've noticed that Trump is doing a big, has made a big effort to maintain not just credibility, but more so, how would I say, viability, I suppose, with the American people. And I think he's done a good job. Clearly he has. He's won the presidency. So, but, he didn't want to, I guess, rock any boats, I suppose. So as far as Project 2025 was concerned, that was definitely one of those situations where you would think it would rock the boat there. But anyway. Oh, and also I had a Rumble rant I almost forgot to read. $2 from Grizz Cheese. Thank you so much, Grizz. Hero afuera. Absolutely. Get out. Fired. Let's try to cut back on the government bureaucracies. So Lord knows we need more cutbacks. So yes, thank you, Grizz Cheese, so much for promoting the show and for donating to the show. It's very much appreciated, and believe me, I am thankful for every single one of your guys' donations, more than you can imagine, actually. So anyway, moving forward, let me pull up this story on Nick Fuentes pepper spraying a woman. For those of you that are unaware, Nick Fuentes, who lives in Illinois, has had his house doxxed. And it's not a bad looking home, actually. A lot of people were, making fun of it a little bit, making fun of how it looked. That was funny, obviously. I don't think it's a bad looking home. There's some... I've heard some rumors, I don't think this is true, say that he still lives with his mother, and that he doesn't really have roommates anymore. I don't know how true that is, but I'm not going to question that. But what I do want to talk about is him pepper spraying a woman here, and let me pull that up for you right here. Give me a second to go on the correct screen. Okay. So this is a video. Now this page, don't believe everything it says, but they did post some footage, and this is the first footage that I've seen of this situation taking place, because I've only seen stills and pictures of him with the pepper spray, like for instance, not this one, like this picture. Okay, I think everyone watching this stream have seen this picture, but I finally found the video. I just saw it posted today. Maybe I was not paying attention previously, but I found the video and I want to play it. It's very brief, but I think it's worth assessing because of such a dire situation that has played out in front of us today.
Hi. Oh my God, what are you doing?
Get the fuck out of here.
Hold on. As you can see, he didn't completely curb stomp her, but he did manage to pepper spray her. Let's watch that again. He really took control. You know what? I don't really care for... I don't really care for Nick Fuentes, but actually, like, good on him for taking control and not like completely going off the rails there, because as this woman had said a little later in her testimony of what had occurred, she said that she assumed that he would start like kicking her. That's why she went into fetal position, but we're going to read her testimony of it here in a second. But I just want to play this video. But yeah, this is a leftist. I think she's a leftist activist, and she has found out about the docs, and she lived nearby, I believe, so she just paid him a little visit. And this had allowed for what one of my viewers had suggested what it was woman-on-woman violence, which is very much what's happening here, and it's quite unfortunate. And as a fellow woman, I take great issue with that. But, let's just watch the video in full and really bask in what's unfolding here in front of us.
Hi. Oh my God, what are you doing?
Get the fuck out of here.
Locks the door.
Hi. Oh my God,
He was ready for it. I'm assuming the door has a peephole. Someone wrote he really missed an opportunity for a Joker monologue. That would have been really good. Oh, I can't do depictions of violence on here. Whoops. Anyway. Yeah, so this was a lady that has, she's a 57-year-old who describes herself on Facebook as a digital creator, as this Twitter account has said. Showed up at Nick Fuentes' home to film herself giving him a dressing down for social media clout, as they said, and got pepper sprayed in the process. And, rightfully so. Obviously, Nick Fuentes is clearly very famous. He is in charge of, you could argue, I wouldn't say so much in charge of anymore, but he's basically like the spokesperson, the creator of a viable political movement, actually, that I think will change American politics for quite a few years to come. So we should be consciously aware of it. That's why I also believe in actually dismantling their views if they are incorrect as we proceed, and not just treat it as a joke movement. Beside the point. Regardless of how famous he is or infamous, you shouldn't visit them at their home. Clearly, this guy's going to be a little shaken up, finding out that his home was doxxed. I'm surprised he didn't just outright like shoot her, especially with the mental state that Nick Fuentes suffers under. But this is her testimony right here. This is the lady, by the way, for those that didn't know, purple hair. You have the whole package deal. And yeah, I didn't believe that she was 57 years old. The day when it occurred, people were saying like, well, he threw a 57-year-old down the stairs. Not exactly, but not quite what happened, but pretty close. And I couldn't believe it, but apparently that was true. I'm not going to read all this, but this is basically just like her explaining what happened. She writes, I'm 57 years old and 5'1", so it's kind of funny that he's had some melodramatic reaction to me, but here we are. I guess thems are the breaks when you're... thems? Huh. That's just how she writes, I guess. I guess thems are the breaks when you're despised by about half the country and millions overseas as well. True. I'd be touchy as well, but then again, I'm not making any rape jokes or demeaning bodily autonomy. Yeah, this was following him. This was following when Nick Fuentes tweeted out, your body, our choice, you know? And so, yeah, obviously, what do you expect? I mean, clearly this guy is clearly he's mentally unstable, and he has been for quite some time, but how much more are you going to expect of him when you are kind of perceived as being a quite hated figure? She shouldn't have done that. I'm surprised and actually applaud Nick for not going completely crazy when she appeared at his door, for not like outright, doing something worse, I suppose you could say. So, and I forgot to play my sound. I love playing the sound effect every time Nick Fuentes comes on, but I think it just completely encapsulates the situation that we're facing here. But
what are you doing?
Yeah. Good for him for defending himself. But he's gonna have to invest in a few more door locks, I think. I don't think he lives in a safe neighborhood.
Hi. Oh my God! What are you doing?
Anyway, yeah, he's gonna have to invest in a few more bear maces as we move along. But I was interested in this narrative that was posted by Milo, and that Nick Fuentes isn't receiving the same Fed protections that he did previously. And I think he's a little bit, freaking out, kind of like a raccoon in the corner type of situation. But this is what Milo Yiannopoulos... And if you guys don't know who Milo Yiannopoulos is, I'm not prepared to explain that to you tonight. But I assure you that him and Nick had a really close-knit relationship quite a few years ago, especially when Kanye was running. And could be more close-knit in... more ways than one, but this is what he has to say. Here's why Nick Fuentes should be freaking out about going viral. He's talking about the docs. Not gloating. The feds have dropped him, so it's open season on his ass. He is hated by the left and right alike, and he still hasn't found a way to monetize the notoriety. His life is now, I don't know how to pronounce this word, penury and macing old ladies. So, yeah, he is hated on all sides. I'm not going to say that he's completely hated. He clearly has an established movement. But he is kind of a joke. And those people that are outward grapers are very far and few in between. A lot of them just hide behind Anon accounts. Not saying that Anon accounts can't do quite a bit of damage in the political scene, but... most often than not, people who do assign themselves to Nick Fuentes' ideology would not very much often come out and say publicly, especially in the professional world, that they support Nick Fuentes or are a graper or, ascribe to his ideology. He has immense notoriety. I wouldn't say that Nick also hasn't found a way to monetize it. I think he has quite a bit, but that's going to start waning. And it's going to start waning as we start to see people, you know, within the younger generations of the right wing enter more institutional roles and try to take up more positions of power. They may hold to the ideology or parts of the ideology, but they'll do very little to actually, you know, wear it as a brand on their chest moving forward. And so that's quite unfortunate for someone like Nick Fuentes, because the question remains, you know, how viable is his lifestyle? And how is he going to continue living on in that lifestyle? But anyway, that's more big brain topics. This is another thread that this lady has posted. She's explaining the situation getting pepper sprayed. This is her posting on Facebook. Again, I'm not going to read this entire thing, but she's clearly enjoying her 5 minutes in the limelight here. But someone posted these pictures, which I find quite interesting. That's him outside. Police were promptly called after the situation. Actually, a bystander who had watched the entire situation unfold had called the police, and Nick Fuentes was required to retrieve the phone back, the one that he's taken from the woman, which it was filmed on. And you know, following that confrontation, so here's like a little side by side. There he is, probably talking on the phone, standing outside, walking next to his home. Again, not a bad looking home. There's a police officer walking towards him. You can see the phone now. It's in the pocket. He's being more serious here. And there's the ambulance. Yep, there's the ambulance. And that's the tweet that prompted all this. So, well, when you play with fire, you sometimes get burned, Nick. You know, regardless of how much notoriety you have, regardless how much you feel like Caesar or Caligula, you can't get very far sometimes. Sometimes the things that you say will follow after you. And sometimes you do get affected by the things that you say. It doesn't matter who you offend or on what political aisle they're from, but you will get burned eventually. And clearly he has been. I mean, he has been on no-fly lists before. He has had his bank account frozen, allegedly. So I don't believe that he was persecuted to some degree. But at the same time, part of me thinks he's a federal, he's an informant or a federal agent, but that's beside the point. If he isn't, most undoubtedly he has gotten affected by it, but that doesn't mean you can't escape it just because it happened to you in the past. So at any rate, there is quite an unfortunate circumstance. There has also been some news come out from a former friend of Nick Fuentes's, or I suppose co-worker, I think it was, of Nick Fuentes's mother, we had a Caitlin Bennett situation, and I don't have the tweet pulled up here actually, so that's my mistake. But was it here? Was it the Twitter? No, this is not. This is a Facebook. Apparently, one of Nick Fuentes's, his mom's friend came out and said that he used to relieve himself in his pants in high school. I don't know how true that is, but I saw that go viral. If you guys found it, let me know that it wasn't a fever dream. You can write in the chat there. I don't know how true that is. Obviously, they're trying to defame him, but at the same time, can I see it happening? Possibly. Could I see it happening to Caitlin Bennett? Absolutely. That's why I said it's like a Caitlin Bennett situation. For those of you that don't know who Caitlin Bennett is, she's basically known for doing that. So, yeah, quite an unfortunate circumstance we have here for Nick. I really hope he reconsiders his career paths moving forward. You can't be a niche celebrity forever, especially if you're as inflammatory as this guy. By the way, here's a picture of the woman that visited him, clearly not the most stable individual as well. It's kind of like a meeting of the minds situation going on. She's got her iced coffee there, you know, her candy corn, very large candy corn earrings, and her shirt says, "Happy Kamaloween, smash the Trump," I think is what it says in the bottom. Very stable genius that we have here indeed. Her lipstick isn't, she has cat ears on. Sick of seeing those. I've seen a lot of those lately. Also, her lipstick just isn't on right. I hope mine's on right now, though. The more they look at it, the more nervous I'm getting. Okay, anyway. Let me go back to the first scene here. There you go. Let me see if we got any. Okay, no donations. Good. I'm not missing on anything. Some of these comments, you guys, my goodness. I don't want to read some of these out loud. But they do make me laugh. Immigrant Forces is writing quite a bit. Thank you for joining Immigrant Forces on YouTube. But I do want to say I am not in fact Jewish. Fortunately, unfortunately, I'm so glad because I see that we have Nick Fuentes fans here. No, I'm not Jewish. I have posted my DNA results already multiple times on Twitter. I will not do it tonight. Maybe if I get enough donations, I will, but I'm not going to pull that up. Okay. Yaflo on YouTube said, love your intro, just found you. Thank you, Yaflo. I really appreciate that. Immigrant Forces just keeps writing about Anne Frank. I don't have much to say about Anne Frank's collection there, Immigrant Forces. Anyway, the YouTube chat is really interesting. But as far as Rumble is concerned, thank you everyone that is joining right now. The next story that was coming up, one that I'm actually really passionate about, is Trump trying to dismantle the U.S. education system, primarily colleges. What do I mean by that? I will be talking about at length with you. And I also want to talk about with you the dissolution of colleges that has happened way before Trump. You see, you have a lot of leftists, a lot of progressives saying that they are concerned with this message that Trump has just released and that he wants to reinvent or reimagine the U.S. higher education system. But what they don't realize is that it has been dismantling, or it has been dismantled rather, and it has been disintegrating for quite some time now. And they don't really see that. And it's something I talk about on this show quite a bit. So I'm going to be talking about it here. I hope you guys will stick around in the next 5 minutes. I will be right back and I will pull that up for you. We're also going to cover a few statistics. So I did decide to make this an offensive statistics segment for you guys to enjoy, but I shall be right back and just hang in there. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to. There we go.
Well, here comes Anita like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop.
Counting numbers driving me mad. Statistics piling, it's all a fad. Everywhere I look, numbers inside. Adding this up, keeping me up at night. Oh, those figures dance and twirl in this cluttered number world.
Okay, this is a lot of people's favorite segment. It is offensive statistics. And on offensive statistics, I slipped again. On offensive statistics, what we do is we like to analyze statistics that people may find offensive and that may make some people clutch their pearls. And on this one, I'm very passionate to talk about because it is an issue that I have written about, I've talked about on the stream before, and I tweet about almost every day. And that is the U.S. education system and U.S. colleges. But before I get into that, I did have a Rumble rant that just came in, and ignore the headband. My hair was getting in my face quite a bit. Looks like I need to trim it yet again. People are saying, well, your hair is already too short. Not short enough, but just long enough so I still look feminine. At any rate, let me look up just to be polite here, I will read the Rumble rant. So it looks like I got $10 from Nelson65. Thank you so much, Nelson65. Hero, yay, Trump, tear it down, tear it down, tear it down. Absolutely. Thank you for the $10. He is cutting back. He's going to make major strides in this administration. I can feel it in my bones. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to be perfect. His previous administration, I wouldn't say was perfect. I wouldn't say he's done I wouldn't say he's done everything perfectly or he's done enough. But this is why we voted him in again. Is that he can do more, and I think his eyes on the prize just that much more now that he's in. I can feel it in my bones, but let's cross our fingers, okay? But thank you so much for the donation, Nelson. I really appreciate that, and like I said, your guys' donations go a really long way here. But let me see here. Let me pull up this story. Okay. Trump's plan to dismantle the U.S. indoctrination system, college, by seizing funds from schools that refuse to comply with his accreditation system. So here we go. What does this accreditation system entail? Number one, our secret weapon will be the college accreditation system. Fire the radical left accreditors that have allowed our colleges to become dominated by Marxist maniacs and lunatics. We will then accept applications for new accreditors who will impose real standards on colleges once again. These standards will include defending American tradition and Western civilization. Again, these are quotes here. Protecting free speech and eliminating wasteful administrative positions that drive up costs. Remove all Marxist diversity, equity, and inclusion bureaucrats. Direct the Department of Justice to pursue federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination, which is what they do. Schools that persist in explicit unlawful discrimination under the guise of equity will not only have their endowments taxed, But through budget reconciliation, I will advance a measure to have them fined up to an entire amount of their endowment. And therefore, last point, the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies. I think this is wonderful. And this is something that was needing to be done for quite some time. Let's watch it in full in his own words, okay?
Nothing. Tuition costs at colleges and universities have been exploding, and I mean absolutely exploding, while academics have been obsessed with indoctrinating America's youth. The time has come to reclaim our once great educational institutions from the radical left, and we will do that. Our secret weapon will be the college accreditation system. It's called accreditation for a reason. The accreditors are supposed to ensure that schools are not ripping off students and taxpayers, but they have failed totally. When I return to the White House, I will fire the radical left accreditors that have allowed our colleges to become dominated by Marxist maniacs and lunatics.
Like I said in the beginning of this stream, what do you think really contributes to the dissolution of Western civilization, of Western culture, of the American culture, of American integrity, really, and constitutionalism? What do you think really caused the dissolution of that within the last couple of generations? I would say since the boomer generation. I think a large part of it, not all, but a large part of it has been U.S. colleges and the ideologies that have promulgated within these systems. And, you know, with especially the professional network within the United States requiring everyone, basically everyone, to have a college degree. And at most times, people that don't really deserve the degree, in order to have a job and to feed themselves and their families, they have to have this piece of paper. They have to go through these systems. They obviously had to dilute the quality of work and the quality of the student in order to do that. And that caused, in turn, I think, a failing culture. And not only that, but we're also bringing in other cultures that are not, in my opinion, compatible and in large part with the culture that we have already pre-established here. Now, that is not to say that we can't assimilate or they can't assimilate to a certain degree, which we can have a multicultural system and society, but that has been proven to be rather challenging as of late. And I think that contributing to the failures of this have been that, but it largely has been U.S. education and the dissolution, or rather, sorry, the dilution of the quality of our education. Moving on with the video.
We will then accept applications for new accreditors who will impose real standards on colleges once again and once and for all. These standards will include defending the American tradition and Western civilization, protecting free speech. I
really wish he would get more into what that looks like. I have a few ideas, obviously teaching the Constitution in the classroom once again. I've been to schools where they did, but from what I hear, that doesn't always happen. Oh, looks like I got a notification there. At any rate, teaching the Constitution, the values of American government, the founding of the nation. Obviously, we do go over that, but it has been obviously warped in a way in which people just aren't proud of that anymore. People aren't proud to be Americans anymore or proud to be patriotic anymore. And I'm really glad that he's reconsidering that and he wants to promote the values. I'm very fascinated that he used the phrase Western civilization here, not just Americanism, American exceptionalism, or even American history.
Speech, eliminating wasteful administrative positions that drive up costs incredibly, removing all Marxist diversity, equity, and inclusion bureaucrats, offering options for accelerated and low-cost degrees, providing meaningful job placement and career services, and implementing college entrance and exit exams to prove.
We need to build up our young professionals. This is something that the right wing completely fails at, and why the left has prospered in the way that it did for quite some time. You see, for some reason, Republicans and conservatives, and I'm going to probably upset a few previous colleagues of mine for saying this, but they do not do enough to bolster up the youth. They will in some cases and in some communities, especially if that child, that young professional is a child of someone that already is in a position of power. Nepotism will never cease to exist. And I'm not saying it has to necessarily, but what I am saying is that the right wing in particular does very little to bolster up its youth and its young professional network, at least not in the same degree that that the left does. Not in the same degree. And it should do more to do that. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's continue with the video.
Prove that students are actually learning and getting their money's worth. Furthermore, I will direct the Department of Justice to pursue federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination.
Very good.
And schools that persist
We've
in
needed that for a very long
explicit,
time.
unlawful discrimination
It's just
under
true.
the guise of equity will not...
It's just true. If you're white, you can't get very far. It doesn't even matter if you're a man or a woman, actually. I can say this quite confidently, especially if you have a history of working within right-wing politics, or even if you've volunteered for or worked for a Republican campaign before. If you're white, it's very difficult. It's not impossible, but it's difficult, and it shouldn't have to be that way. They're purposefully changing the system in a way because they justify it in their mind, you see. They justify it in their mind because they say, and I hear progressives say this all the time, that because it was hard for minorities in the past, now it must be hard for whites. They have ethically justified it for themselves in a way in which they will not feel bad at all for preventing you from really achieving anything, not just living your best life, but really doing anything, from achieving anything, from really getting a leg up, from even trying and having fair and meritocratic treatment by the system. No, they have fashioned the system in a way that if you're white, you will fail, regardless of what you do. There's nothing you can do. And it's really good to see that we have an administration that's at least recognizing it and publicly stating it in words that are understandable and very much applicable, and hopefully it will actually be implemented. Because if it doesn't, that will be quite discouraging. And when that day comes, if it comes, I will have a lot of negative things to say about Trump, but we can only cross our fingers and hope. But at any rate,
not only have their endowments taxed, but through budget reconciliation, I will advance a measure to have them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment. A portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies that hurt our country so badly. Colleges have gotten hundreds of billions of dollars from hardworking taxpayers, and now we are going to get this anti-American insanity out of our institutions once and for all. We are going to have real education in America. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, I have really good feelings about this. I don't know about you guys, but I sure do. I tweeted about this. Give me 1 second. Let me check on the chat here. But I have tweeted about this, and I feel very strongly about this topic. And that's why someone wrote "trust the plan" in the chat. Anyway. Yeah, no, I have really good feelings about it. Obviously, that's why I want to talk about it, because I really think that Trump will do something to instill change in this country as it pertains to colleges. I did tweet about this, and I do want to really get up my tweet, pull it up here, because I think it will. Oh, look, there I am, live. This is what I wrote. A pernicious element of the feminization of higher education promulgated a new style of competition in academic institutions. This feminine form of competition is markedly less meritocratic than the prior system of open academic discourse. Okay, so basically, to kind of dumb it down, because I know I got ratioed by What If Alt History here, because apparently I used too many big words and that kind of threw him off. So I'll try to dumb it down, okay? What I am saying is that previously in academic institutions, especially in higher academic institutions, obviously, what has happened is that this is what I call the feminization of education. And this is the part of the podcast that I like to talk about. But the feminization of academic institutions is really what occurred when women have taken up more positions of leadership in academic institutions. And what has occurred is that the competition style has basically become feminized, and it has become very social. There's a very social element to competition as far as it pertains to not just even colleges, but even workplace communication styles, I've come to learn. But what do I exactly mean by feminized competition styles? I will get to in a second, but I just want you to consider this, and maybe reconsider it, is that, yes, I do believe that, woke ideology, DEI policies, have contributed greatly to the decline of U.S. colleges. However, I think that more so this has to do is a two-prong. There's a two-prong reason for this. And there's a pronged approach. A prong will always have two, right? First is that, yes, the induction of postmodernism greatly contributed to the downfall of United States higher education academic institutions. Another big part of that, okay? And I want you to really consider this with an open mind. I might upset a few people when I say this, but I think coming from me, okay, this is going to sound a little odd, but I think it has been the encouragement of more women to enter into higher education systems. Because actually, it's not just women in particular, it's really most people. I'm just going to level with you. I don't think most people should go to college. I really don't. But especially women to a certain degree, I think even less so should go to college. Now, there is that 20 and 30%. I'll be generous. I'll say 30% of women do belong in colleges, myself included. I really do. Where they will not really thrive in any other situation but attaining a higher academic degree, because that's what they're literally bred for sometimes. That's the neuroses they have. They're highly neurotic. They may be very analytical. I'm describing myself in case if you didn't notice. But, they're very good in the book learning department. And so, to make the greatest use of their professional skills, their intellectual skills, a lot of those women should go to college. But there's a lot of women that shouldn't go to college. And I think the reason why we have basically pushed this entire demographic to go into college, that really diluted the competition styles and the rigorous research methods that have flourished in academia for quite some time. And this is why I call this segment offensive statistics, trying to get back to my point here. But that is because, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's this really big statistic floating out right there that says 6 out of 8 Ivy League presidents are now women. Okay? Oh, for those of you that don't know, the woman pictured here is Claudine Gay. She is known to have plagiarized quite greatly. And so, yeah, this article is rather dated, because otherwise I wouldn't put a picture of her. She's like an embarrassment now. But yeah, I'm not going to read this article for you. I just brought this up. I have a few articles posted here, but 6 out of 8 Ivy League presidents are now women. Here's another statistic. Let me see. Here we go. 23.5% of the U.S. population holds bachelor degrees as their highest level of education. And there's a statistic here that describes, here we go, sex and gender. So in 2020, women earned 57, I don't know if you guys can see that, it's right behind me. Oh, whoops. 57%, so grand majority of bachelor's degrees conferred in the U.S. Were earned by women. And then nearly 40% of women aged 25 and older has completed a bachelor's degree as their highest. And does this not have, I think my next article has master's degrees, and here we have race and ethnicity. And this was my next point I was getting at, is that first it started with women. Then it started getting in with the push for specific race and ethnicities to get into certain systems of, into certain colleges, and to kind of imbue within the higher academic institution network. And that's, again, not necessarily bad, but it is questionable, because you're not finding and this is like beating a dead horse, but you're not finding the most qualified candidate, obviously. At this point, you're just trying to shove in as many people as possible that just don't belong there. But I want to really focus this on sex and gender because I think that contributed the greatest right now to the issue of the dissolution of U.S. education. Here's another article. Women now outnumber men in U.S. college-educated workforce. Okay, men are definitely leaving colleges. They're not even encouraged to really attend anymore. Then there's a statistic up here. Now, it is rather slight. Okay, it's rather slight. And again, and also, I do want to point out, a lot of these men don't belong in college either. Okay, but I still think it's more so men are more inclined for that than women are. But still, a lot of the majority of, I think, just the human population don't belong in these environments. They just don't. Most people should just go to a technical college, okay? Most people are mentally attuned to more technical work, more of the trades, housemaking, homemaking rather. But yeah, a lot of people are not meant for college, but yet for some reason the universalization of education within America really promoted that. And a lot of people think they can't, and rightfully they are thinking that people cannot have a good lifestyle without getting a college education. And unfortunately, that is true. You can't really have, unless you are very skillful in a specific trade, or you are just happen to just network your way out of you happen to network your way so well that you have networked your way into success and financial stability, which doesn't happen all that often. Most of the time, 80-90% of the time, I'm willing to bet you need a college degree, even if just a bachelor's. And that's unfortunate because most people just don't thrive in those conditions and they don't do well. And then they dilute the meaning of the degrees of those that do thrive in those situations. And that's frankly what I feel like I'm going through personally. I mean, I have a master's and it's still hard to find work because basically everyone has a master's these days. Well, it shouldn't be the case. Specialization in a certain field should be saved for the people that are truly good at that craft and that skill and are meant for it. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, what I mean by feminized methods of competition here is that what you have seen previously, and I'm going to cite this, a woman, by the way, who promoted this idea. But what you saw with academic institutions in the past is that you did see this rigor and this research that was put into discovering new material, posing certain hypotheses and proving them, intellectual debate, philosophical debate. That was all part of the experience. And now you don't see that. There's no more a bent towards creation in colleges. It's now it's all about deconstruction. It's deconstructivist, postmodernist. It's critical theory. And I frankly think that the reason why critical theory does flourish in academia right now is because it's mainly run by women. Women are essentially far more deconstructivist than men are. They just are. They're more critical. They're more anxious. They're more neurotic. And they are very analytical to the degree where they will dismantle everything. Okay? So you kind of need that push and pull. Yes, you need men and women, and I would say nearly most fields, but some fields are geared for others more than the rest. So, and what you've seen with the proliferation of women in academic institutions is you see the promotion of these critical theories, but also there's this lack of debate and conflict that is necessary for the creation of new ideas. Women will ostracize each other if they have an issue. They will not confront each other, okay? And that's just the nature of women. There's nothing necessarily bad about it. And in some cases, it's good to be more critical about how you socially approach a situation, right? But in cases of especially discovery and debate and academic research, you can't do that. You have to be confrontational to a degree in which you're able to at least pose your opinion or your ideology or whatever that may be. And so I think women can be very confrontational in some ways and in other ways not. But when it comes to the academic framework, I don't think they are. And so what you have is this element of like ostracization that occurs in academia, that if you are different, or maybe you are a little bit conservative or right-wing, you get ostracized. And that's what this woman kind of poses, Joyce Benenson. She promoted this theory of like a feminized competition style, and it caught my eye a number of months ago because it's very much true, is that there are certain behaviors that women emulate, or that's very risk averse. Women are extremely risk averse, and you cannot be risk averse and be bent towards philosophy or discovery or research. You can't do that. You have to be able to embrace the risk. And so I think, going back to the point with Trump, I think that's really much what contributed to the failure of the academic system. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean we should just prevent women from entering colleges? Absolutely not. I think the way that Trump is getting at to this is a really good start, and that it makes us question how meritocratic the system truly is. But I think that's a step in the right direction. I think there's a lot of changes to happen actually in early childhood development and education, and also shaping the culture that will, I would say, promote a more traditionalist worldview on who should, approach or consider college. But again, I do want to say that this is coming from me, someone that has attended college and took it very seriously and takes it very seriously, and I do want to better those systems. So that's why I'm even suggesting these things to begin with. But anyway, I'm going to check the chat here. I know I went off pretty long, but I want to make sure I get to all the chats. Entropy Nomad you make a very good point. Funny how those create life are not creative enough for ideas. That's a good point, and obviously that varies and there are exceptions. I do believe that because of the physical creation that occurs when that happens with one of the sexes, perhaps, and this is just a theory of mine, but perhaps that compensates for the lack of creativity that occurs elsewhere, like in the mind. But I think, and a lot of, I also see people in the manosphere talk about this, that men, not just the manosphere, but like really, I've seen this viewpoint being shared quite frequently, that men typically are more masters at their trade or their skill, because at the end of the day, as with most activities that encourage creativity and self-discovery, that is the attainment of sex. And so because men typically need to get attention of women more than the other way around, they will try to master that particular skill in order to obtain that attention, whereas women don't really have to try as hard to gain attention, right? And so therefore women will be less inclined towards developing that skill. That could be why. So it could be more of a question of sexual display or courtship, actually. It's more of a question of courtship. I don't think necessarily it has to do with reproductive matters. But that being said, Just Lol, you commented, yes, I am in Rumble. If you do want to engage the chat more, I encourage you guys to go on Rumble. And the Rumble chat is where I get the most views and the most topics. The most activity. Agorizer wrote Daniela Rants, indeed. So yeah, I do get a little bit on my rants here, but these are topics that I think about very often and I'm very passionate about talking about, because I don't think they're being talked about enough, and they haven't been, but hopefully we'll be able to talk about it as this administration continues, and hopefully after it thrives, and hopefully as the right wing gains more of an acceptance within the political sphere, that can occur. And Fictum, no, this is not a rhinoplasty. I know a lot of people think I got a nose job. This is just my physiognomy. My apologies. Immigrant Forces wrote, all the banter aside, you're a nice girl. Keep doing what you're doing and don't let tools like me annoy you or distract you. You weren't annoying me, Immigrant Forces. It's just that you wrote some things I was skeptical about talking about publicly. I did think they were funny, though. I do do appreciate the comments and the interaction. But if you guys want to join, or rather support Culturama, support the stream and the show, it would be very much appreciated if you did donate a Rumble Rant. That will go a long way, and I will most definitely read your comment if you do. Also, if you want something more tangible for donating, you can also go on the Culturama shop at the4libertyshop.com. We have sweatshirts, we have mugs, we have a face cream, we have beanies, we have a lot more things coming. I want to get a poster up there as well. Mr. Nuisi wrote, "What is your X handle?" Thank you for asking. Let me show it to you. Hold on a second. But yeah, go to the Rumble, go to the Culturama shop, and you'll get all those gifts there. And Christmas is coming up, by the way. This is my handle. It's at Pansec Daniela. It's just my last name and my first name. And this is my Twitter. This is what you'll see. It has my name, and the little angs are at the end. So, yeah, follow me on Twitter if you do like my takes. It'd be very much appreciated. So, but anyway, gonna make sure there we go. Okay, next story. I'll be right back. The next thing I have on the agenda here, it looks like InfoWars is set to shut down. Okay, this is a topic that I did really want to talk about because, I say what you will about Alex Jones. I did find him a very entertaining figure for quite some time, and I used to tune into InfoWars quite a bit. I don't know if I seem that kind of a girl, but they're muzzling him completely, and it looks like that InfoWars is set to shut down. It's very sad. I wanted to talk about that a little bit, so you guys stay there, and we will talk about Alex Jones here in a second. Hopefully I won't have a coughing fit. Okay, I'll be right back. Stay tuned and send those Rumble rants in the last 30 minutes of this show. Hopefully, if you do, I could be able to go to AmFest and meet you guys in person. So, anyway, I'll be right back.
Well, here comes Daniela like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah. Who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
liberty lovers, stop.
Alrighty, welcome back to Culturama. Now, I do want to say is that I have just been accused of having a rhinoplasty, and I've said that I've always had this nose. This is just my physiognomy, so I did want to clarify a few things for you guys. If we get enough donations in the next 30 minutes, I will show proof, pictographic proof, in fact, of me as a child that I've always had this nose. I'm gonna set the donation amount to $40. So if we get $40 in donations, you will see a picture of me as a child, where I did have this nose my entire life. But that being said, what I did want to talk about was Alex Jones losing InfoWars. Now, InfoWars has been a staple of the American right wing for quite some time now, and it has contributed greatly to shaping the identity of the right wing. And it's now completely shutting down. And this, of course, follows the Sandy Hook case that we have. If you guys aren't up to speed to it, but he's basically being sued for that incident surrounding the Sandy Hook shooting, and them claiming, which had never happened, by the way. He's never outright said that it was all completely fake. And he has never, and more so, he has never, he's had a conversation about it, but he's never outright suggested it was fake. Also, he hasn't attacked any of the parents. So, like, that entire case was completely bunked from, at least from what I can recall and remember. But because of that case, he did lose, and now, they're completely suing him dry. And it looks like even the InfoWars may not be staying up anymore, and that's very quite unfortunate and sad. And I did want to bring attention to it, actually, because I do think it's an important story, because it's a big story on not just Alex Jones or InfoWars necessarily, but it's a bigger story about free speech and media. And I really think we should reconsider what that means and how much this case and this story actually illustrates how much they want you not just to not get a job, which we have already talked about in the last segment, but they don't even want you to have a voice anymore, especially as it pertains to promoting your views in media. So let me pull up that story here in a second for you guys. But here it is from the man himself, Alex Jones. And I just wanted to say, the big gripe I had with Elon Musk actually in purchasing X was that for a little while, Elon Musk was completely against the notion of having Alex Jones back on Twitter because he personally didn't like what Alex had to say as it pertains to the Sandy Hook situation. And I had some issues with that, but Elon came through, Alex Jones was back on, he's back on Twitter, but, will InfoWars survive regardless? Probably not. And I don't think someone like Elon will want to, stick their neck out and help him even financially. But anyway, so, Elon's not perfect. However, let's see what Alex has to say about this.
Wednesday afternoon, InfoWars, the equipment, Infowars.com, InfoWarsStore.com, and a whole bunch of other stuff is at a federal bankruptcy auction from the fake judgments of the rigged trials where I was found guilty beforehand and they had literal show trials out of the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany. Right when I walked in here during the break after getting a glass of water, saw the auctioneers inside the building going around surveying from the last time they were here to make sure all the stuff's here. Everything tagged, everything marked, this desk, these tables, this...
It's supposed to close... It says here this Wednesday, so just tomorrow.
Microphone. They're in the control room right now. So that's how close this is. Now, good guys say they're going to buy it.
Even Alex himself looks rather gaunt. It's very unfortunate. I don't mean to make jokes about this, but he has lost weight. Good for him. But it really is a sad situation. Because regardless of what you think about Alex Jones, yes, he is an entertainer and he's an actor. He clearly knows what he's doing. But regardless of that, it still was supposed to be a show. It's called InfoWars. It was supposed to be a news show, and it just seems like to me that, and this is a shared sentiment of a lot of viewers and non-viewers alike. I haven't watched InfoWars in quite a while. I used to watch it. I didn't watch it anymore for quite a number of years, maybe 2 or 3 years now. But even people like me that stopped watching it can even say that there's a shared sentiment that if the news isn't skewed in a particular direction, they will find ways to eliminate it. They have found a way with Alex Jones with the Sandy Hook case. They will find ways to eliminate it for you. They may have their hands tied previously, but they didn't anymore, and they swooped in and they tried to take it away from him. So very unfortunate. Let's listen a little bit more.
Okay, they're good guys. They buy it. Who knows if they're really good guys once they buy it? You know, we got to see. I don't count on any of that. And as the countdown goes down, if the bad guys do buy this in less than 48 hours, then we'll know. I'll keep broadcasting until they show up. They said they want to shut it down that day. They'll be here, and they're going to come in, and they're going to flip a switch in there. I'm going to make them do that. I'm going to stay on the air right to the last minute because we don't quit to the last minute.
He would do that, yeah.
And then I'm going to get in the new ship. I'm going to step into the new ship and continue on. But the ship is not properly fueled. It does not have everything done to it needs.
Anyway, I do respect his resiliency and his desire to just keep moving forward because, you know, that is something you'll never make it in this world unless you have that spirit in you. So that's really good to see. Someone wrote, "This is one of the saddest days in human history." It does definitely feel that way, yes. Someone wrote, "Just do the show with your cell phone running through the woods like the Blair Witch Project. Low budget, people will love it." That's kind of funny. Sad day, pray for Alex Jones. Yeah, I mean, everyone's clearly mourning about this. Definitely a sad situation. Alex Jones says InfoWars will end Wednesday as he faces auction to pay $1.5 billion to the Sandy Hook families. And the reason why it is this just egregious amount is because they knew they would tank the show and they knew ahead of time. And like I said already, they will find ways to attack you if you do not pose news or information in a narrative that they like it. If you don't spin it in the way that they like it, they will do anything they can to end you. And it's very important that you maintain a spirit and a belief system like Alex Jones here, because it is very demoralizing to see this happen to a man like this, you know? Okay, end of an era indeed. Someone is suggesting or tweeted Elon Musk and they said, "Please buy InfoWars and make Alex CEO." I did want to bring attention to this because anything's possible right now and it really seems like it. But I don't think Elon Musk will do it given his attitude about Alex Jones. He didn't like Alex for a while because of the Sandy Hook situation particularly. So I don't know if this will happen, but it's worth sharing and just throwing that idea out into the consciousness, into the void, whatever you may feel is a situation right now. Seems like the void lately. But just throw the idea out there. Maybe it will come to fruition. You never know. It's worth doing. And I don't want to see Alex Jones's show tank or, you know, the guy's been through a lot. I kind of feel bad for him. Some things are warranted, some things weren't. I certainly don't think this one was warranted. But that being said, we are wrapping up a little bit closer to the end of the show, so I did want to play a little video for you guys to remember the good times. And to remember the good times of who Alex Jones was, okay? And the laughs that he has brought. Because regardless of whether or not you agree with his politics, I know he stepped away from supporting Trump for quite some time. I don't know if that's still the case. I know he was all gung-ho for Trump initially when Trump first ran. But regardless of what you think about his politics or his beliefs or the ideas that he's been promoting, or even anything surrounding the Sandy Hook situation, I do want you to consider the laughs that he has brought and the value of entertainment that he has brought. Because personally, I found Alex Jones to be one of the most entertaining mans alive. So what I have for you today is a special treat, but I have this video that I want to play of all the antics and the fun behaviors and laughs that Alex Jones would spawn. I'm gonna make this a little quieter because this video is loud, so I hope you guys just enjoy the entertainment value that this man has offered.
You know how he walks like a demonic elf. Hey, Bill Gates. And Angelina Jolie going, children.
I am Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I'm Piers Morgan. Ever seen a Cellini? My name's Glenn Beck.
That's Hillary. Hold on, I'm Gary
That's very accurate of Hillary, I must say.
Johnson.
Hi, this is Barack Obama without my teleprompter. I was raised by the Ford Foundation and Carnegie Endowment.
Welcome to McDonald's. May I help you? I'm Bernie Sanders. Chris Hazel's glasses like he's a little smart. Like, Rachel Maddow. Thank you, Satan, for all your love. Signed, Cheryl Sandberg. Job of the Hutt. I'm the amazing Randy. I am Optimus Prime.
I am William F. Buckley of the Central Intelligence.
That's a really good William F. Buckley. He practiced that one in front of the mirror.
Here to control and steer the conservative movement into the sewer line.
And the establishment says, Kambuga Shaka Munda, Kunga Kingo, Uga Laka Bluga Blah, 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 Blah.
Anyway, that was from Vice. It's very hard to find compilations of Alex Jones anymore on YouTube, but that one's just a classic. I had to put that up there. Anyway. Yeah, a very sad situation that he's leaving. So we're going to be missing a lot of that. You know what I mean? Whoops. There we go. You know what I mean? Like, that would be quite heartbreaking if we lose that. So when I found out about this news last night, I did feel like I had to talk about it. I do think it's very important to talk about and bring attention to, because this is a constitutional right. I frankly believe that's being attacked. Regardless of whatever loopholes or legal justifications you will come around to saying that this is well-deserved for Alex Jones, I frankly don't think it is. And I can certainly read between the lines, and I think you can too, when you come to consider that they are trying to end his show. And, you know, it makes you consider how truthful his show really was. Because initially I was very skeptical. I thought that, you know, InfoWars was just an entertainment it's just an entertainment show, like, kind of like a variety show of sorts. There was some truth maybe sprinkled in, but I thought it was mostly just exaggerated in its entertainment, even though the entertainment value was top notch in my opinion, which I think I still hold to that view. But then you come to consider, like, well, how much of what he said was true if they're going this far into, like, just completely dismantling the show. And you know, and he was also one of the first, if not the first, to bring attention to Bohemian Grove. I just want to say that's interesting. Okay, last check on the I want to check on the Rumble chat before I get to my last story here. Okay, hold on a second, just got a DM. Entropy Nomad, thank you for donating $5 so much. Thank you so much. Hero, we are self-absorbed with the stars in our bellies. That turned out fantastic. Very well spoken. Thank you, Entropy Nomad. Sorry, it was 12 minutes ago. I missed it, but thank you so much for your donation. We are self-absorbed with the stars in our bellies. That turned out fantastic. Okay, looks like we have pretty good viewership today on Twitter and Rumble. Good for the show, at least. The problem I had with Jones back then is a problem I had with Schaefer now. Just attacking everyone all the time gets old. That's true eventually. I mean, you do kind of need a balance there, so I agree with you. The difference between Jones and Schaefer, though, I will say, is that Jones is, I think, drastically more entertaining. Immigrant Force says Alex Jones rants as an indie folk song, a best song on the internet. Yeah, I should play that song, shouldn't I? I probably should have done that one. Alex Jones rants as an indie folk song. I know what you're talking about. It's a meme. Let me see if I can pull it up, actually, since we do have some time left. Is it still on YouTube? I haven't... Yes, it is. Okay. Let's see if I can play it here. For those of you that don't know, this is a very well-known meme. It has 13 million views here.
The paradigm of absolute control.
This is the Alex Jones.
That's why we're down here doing simple
song.
things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural. And this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderers, scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive. They're selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we want to eat babies. I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy weird sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy weird woman whose mother wears a hood over her head.
That's right.
That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur.
I'm just enjoying the song with you guys. I'm not gonna interfere with that. I hope you guys enjoy this.
Fire pot and the goblins are hobbling round coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap. We don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of pointed people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall.
I can really feel the passion.
We're gonna stab your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good, oh, they're so sweet.
Very nice. That was the Alex Jones indie song for those that don't know. A very well-known meme. Excuse me. I think that was quite pertinent to play given the circumstances that we find ourselves in. That song is like from 2015, Mr. Pig said. Yeah, it's been around for a while. It's a nice trip down memory lane. I forgot Obama smelled like brimstone. Alex Jones is perhaps the most meme-worthy individual that that has occurred. I'm just still reading through the chat here. I did have one more story I wanted to go over with you guys before we end the show. I just have 10 minutes left, so I will just skip the commercial break and just get to it because I also have the clip already open. But I just want to say that last call to see the picture of me as a kid, if we get $40 in donations. Otherwise, just support the show. We love to see it. By supporting the show, not only is it going to grow, but we will have a greater chance to put out more products for you guys and to just spread the message and to grow the For Liberty Network, in which we are trying to build these alternative institutions and alternative networks, right? And support structures that we don't really see that often in especially the mainstream professional world and the mainstream political world. So it's really important that we continue and do this and that we support each other. And, you know, believe me, this isn't only going straight into my pockets. It's going to building the show, and it's going to building a platform in which we can support people that share our views, our ideologies, our values, and you know, hopefully continue in reclaiming the zeitgeist of the United States, like I mentioned in the opening of the show. So, and reclaiming the traditional spirit of Americana. So anyway, I did want to talk about this last story here. And I was shocked when I saw this story, and I genuinely thought it was AI generated. I still am under the impression that it is AI generated, but I was told it isn't. Also, I want to say that we're hitting really high numbers on Twitter and Rumble, so that's good. Anyway, it just got me excited there. But I wanted to play this video for you. This is the last thing I'm going to be talking about today. This is Biden. Joe Biden addresses the nation. He has a real spring in his step, as if he wanted this result all along. No mention of Kamala. Full video here. And this video is Joe Biden addressing the nation after the Trump win, okay? And what you'll come to see and find out is that he comes off extremely lucid and well-spoken, and he has a bit of energy, right? Quite a bit of energy, actually, for his age, at least compared to what we have seen when he was running for president, or even during the Kamala run. And it really makes me reconsider what we have been seeing these last few months. I'm just going to play the clip and have you guys judge it for yourselves. Maybe I'm just freaking out over here, but I found this clip rather interesting. And like I said, I initially suspected and initially thought that it was AI generated. Maybe it is. But as far as, and this is for a few days now, from what I've heard, it's not, and it's real, and other news stations have posted this video. But let's play it, and you guys can get an idea what what I'm seeing here.
And here comes President Biden. He's got quite a pace there. He's got his aviators on, traditional sunglasses. Joe Biden coming out, about to address the nation. He looks
there he goes.
He's had his Weetabix. Here he is.
Look at him.
Good morning. Good morning.
A lot of energy all of a sudden.
Thank you. Please. Thank you. Good to see this cabinet and staff together here. Thank you.
Oh, he's like glowing. You know what I mean? He's glowing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
He has
Please.
a presence about him. He's presidential.
Thank you. Thank
all
you.
of a
Thank
sudden.
you.
He has a presence.
Yeah. It's good to see you all. Particularly good to see my granddaughter sitting in the front row here. Hi, Finn. How are you, honey? For over 200 years, America has carried on the greatest experiment in self-government in the history of the world. And that's not hyperbole. That's a fact. We're the people. The people vote and choose their own leaders, and they do it peacefully. And we're in a democracy. The will of the people always prevails. Yesterday, I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory. And I assured him that I'd direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition. That's what the American people deserve. Yesterday, I also spoke with Vice President Harris. She's been a partner and a public servant.
Are you noticing that there's just no single stutter? Not a single stutter. He's very lucid. What he's saying is making sense. The content of what he's saying is making perfect sense here. What is going on? Was this all an act this entire time, or did he just have his new dose of adrenochrome? Maybe that's what it could be. I don't know.
Campaign and everyone
But he just
got
looks
to see something that I've learned early on to respect so much.
Cognitive and capable and competent.
She has a backbone like a ramrod. She has great character, true character. She gave her whole heart and effort, and she and her entire team should be proud of the campaign they ran. You know, the struggle for the soul of America since our very founding.
It really is a testament to how powerful the human mind is. He probably didn't even want to do this whole race to begin with, and that's just been like literally caused mental cognitive decline for him while he was running. And as soon as they replaced him, people are saying that he was like bitter that Kamala replaced him. If anything, what this tells me that he probably was extremely relieved because he didn't have to worry about it anymore. He's completely capable. Is he still too old? Yes. He's still very old and he shouldn't run ever again, but at least I can understand him.
Has always been an ongoing debate and still vital today. I know for some people, it's a time for victory, to state the obvious. For others, it's a time of loss. Campaigns are contests of competing visions.
Anyway,
the country chooses one or the other.
I think I made my point. I only have 3 minutes left of this show, but I think I made my point. What do you guys think? He's just having a good day, still slurring words. I don't know, Agora. He slurred hardly. I'll just put it this way. He didn't slur or trip over his words any more than I do, okay? I talk too fast, and I just did trip over my words quite a bit. I used to have a stutter, actually, when I was younger, but yeah, I wouldn't say I don't think he's just having a good day. He was literally jogging up to the podium there, okay? I think that's rather interesting, but Nelson wrote he may have been run down from all the pressure to abdicate to Kamala, and that's what I think too. He was overjoyed that Kamala lost. Yes, he may be overjoyed that Kamala lost. That also means that he has less hands in the cookie jars as well, less responsibility. The guy just wanted to retire. I think he just wanted to relax. And now that he finally has the capability to do so, he's just completely like hands off, and he's free, go lucky, and he just is now jogging to the podium and jogging across fields. So, but good for him. It could just be completely mental. It just makes me wonder if the entire thing was just a farce the entire time. It's very funny what he's doing here. Anyway, I am just looking through your guys' chats one last time to see I didn't miss any donations. And it looks like I haven't, so that is great. And let me check the text line just to make sure I didn't miss any of that either. And I haven't. Okay, awesome. So it looks like I'm all up to speed there. I hate it when I miss a text, especially because it's like, I have to go back to it and mention the next stream. I just like to be fair. I don't like to miss texts or Rumble. I don't think I've ever missed a Rumble rant, maybe like one time by accident, but I definitely don't want to miss those. But at any rate, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this today's episode. And like I said, it is so gratifying to see that Trump is actually taking a loud stand and even using phrases like Western civilization to promote his worldview and going to change the systems and institutions here in America. And like I said, I feel it in my bones. I really think that changes will be happening here. And if they don't, then I think that he's completely going to burn himself with not just the Republican Party, because he has done that already, but with his entire constituency and with his entire fan base. So this is his chance. But I think he's going to do something with it. I think he's aware. And I don't think he's going to be caught in a lot of webs of lies and disinformation like he was previously. So, he's learned the lessons of his past and his previous administration. But at any rate, I am reaching at the end of my stream time, and we've covered all the stories that I wanted to cover. We didn't reach the donation goals, so I will not be showing you guys the picture, okay? Like I said, I needed 40 extra more dollars, but you know what? There's always next time. So that's something to consider in the next stream on Thursday, and I want to see you there next Thursday. I will also be having a special guest on to interview them on various questions and topics. And I think you guys are going to like this guest. It's going to be really entertaining, but I will not give it away quite yet. I want you to be surprised. And also, as usual, we're going to be talking about trending news, and whatever unfolds will unfold. So I'll be talking about the next best, hottest thing and giving my take on it. And I hope you guys appreciated my take. So thank you for joining today. Thank you for watching Culturama. And thank you for taking an active part in reclaiming traditional Americana, in reclaiming the spirit of traditional Americana and the zeitgeist of America. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. And I will certainly try to do my best to have a wonderful rest of my evening as well. So at any rate, let me find my exit screen. Okay, I found it. Anyway, I need a more graceful exit. But thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your evening, and I will love to see you next Thursday. Again, that is 5 to 7 p.m. PST, and if you're in Central Time, that is 7 to 9 p.m. I'll see you there on Thursday, guys. Thank you for joining, and have a good rest of your evening.
We were towns with friendly neon signs. We were living in this simple times, leaving vipers' crazy schemes behind. In our hearts we long to rewind.
Oh, the past was where the love belonged, singing our nostalgic song in a world that felt so right and true. Without progress, it's to be true.
I'm glowing in the night, shining like a star in this atomic age, a brighter by far. Untouchable energy, it's a glowing affair. Ready and ready, I'll take you everywhere. I'm untouchable now, feel the power in the air. radioactive rhythm, but stands without care. Electric and alive in this atomic embrace, unstoppable now in this glowing space.